Welcome back to the Wellhouse Exorcism, our final installment. I'm Shanna Hayden.
I'm PJ.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Ray, newly a vegetarian. After all that.
I got some meat in the freezer. PJ and I just finished watching Jeffrey Dahmer, so we want some pork chops.
I want a celery stick.
It's safer. It's safer.
Something they don't say in the show, though, that like a month leading up to him getting arrested, the only thing that entered his body was probably people. Like in terms of
month?
meat. In terms of meat, yeah.
Oh my word.
It's the only protein he got.
And his neighbors, they said he was always cooking and offering them food, which you see one example of in the show, which you'll see. But this is great for the opening of this too. Yep. But they said they're sure they ate human meat because they didn't know, and he was offering free food, So like, yeah, sure, we'll eat it.
Oh my God, this is so Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, pretty much.
No.
So PJ has a story about our creepy house.
Yeah, so I'm playing video games, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. All the lights are off, and I get the feeling like I'm not alone in the room. So I slowly turn around in my chair, and behind me is a small female figure with a tear in front of its face staring at me. I jump out of the chair screaming, and it's my daughter.
Has she seen it? How did she know?
She was just standing there waiting for me to notice her, I guess. Well, she was like half asleep, but...
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Kids are so scary.
There was one time she was sitting in bed, and like her bed is perpendicular to the door, so I walk in and I just see like a profile
She
of her
wasn't
face,
feeling very well.
and she's like sitting hunched but like leaning forward,
Hair over her face.
hair, face, like in her face, and then she slowly turns and looks at me with her hair still in her face, and I'm like, what is happening right now? It's like 2 a.m, and so I just reached over to grab some holy water, because we have holy water all over the place in this house, and I just sprinkled some on her.
What did she do after?
She
was like, what the hell, Dad?
Yeah, that was exactly what
It's just
she-
like,
she's
I thought
what
you
was that? And I'm
Why
like-
am I wet?
I'm like, don't worry about it, just go back to sleep.
That's going to be a funny story when she gets older.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, when she's, like, married and at, like, or, the reception or something like that. It's like, do you remember that one time when I thought you were possessed?
No, this house, there's reason for
did
it.
you say the one time? No.
The one time.
Although, your story was making me think, apparently, when I was...
I've never done anything like that.
Probably younger. But Mom told me a long time ago that she found me once in the middle of the night on the landing of your stairs, just sitting there sobbing in the middle of the night. And so she kind of shook me, and she's like, Laura, what's the problem? And I was just like sobbing uncontrollably, and apparently I was fast asleep.
I had a sleepwalking
Did you?
instant too. I don't remember what it was, but I know it was going down the stairs and everything, like trying to make my way downstairs, and I think they stopped me and pulled me back up, but
All kids walk down. We found something downstairs on the couch one morning because kids just walk in the middle of the night. It's freaky. Anyway,
Sleep exploring.
so the last time that we stopped
Yes.
talking, I'm going to back my notes now because I forgot, because we were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and I got excited. Anyway, we stopped last time. We were talking about the skulking figure in the basement, and PJ finding the blanket down there with the toys and the dirty blanket. That's what I have in my notes.
Yes.
All right. So, and I think I discussed too falling down the steps. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yes. We finished the
definitely-
Well, I don't know if it was falling so much as you were pushed.
Yeah. The first one I could say maybe I fell.
Not that I was there.
Yeah.
And I certainly did not do it.
Clarification.
I have to go back
I
and
mean-
to make sure Ray wasn't here.
I know.
did I hear giggling and footsteps running away?
That would be Ray. 'Cause he's a little schoolgirl.
PJ, you have a weird sense of humor.
Was he there too? He videotaped it. So
I told him when to be there.
And the podcast has gotten that much more interesting.
Suddenly, it's a mystery podcast.
I felt like last time I did a lot of talking, but I think we focused on the things that had happened really to me. And
You just quite frankly have a better memory than me too, so you just need to tell a lot of these stories. 'Cause
But I feel like this time, the final excerpt of this entire podcast is mostly the kids, because we had been living here at that point for years, and the truth is we couldn't afford to, everyone understands, you can't afford to leave. So I kind of want to focus on the kids because, like, we were living here for so long, we couldn't afford to move, but, you know, everyone, I think if you're living in a house and you don't have money for a new mortgage, you understand, like, you're stuck in this situation. You guys do, because you had a house that was,
we were
you know, a
stuck
little
in that
creepy.
situation, yeah.
So I feel like we stuck it out as long as we could, because what else were we going to do? We were working at, like, really low-paying jobs, but then things started happening to our kids, and that's when we had to, like, completely turn heel and, like, really focus on fixing the house. So I want to pick up with us, like, at the beach, that whole scenario, because that's so important for this first story. Because I should jump forward in my notes to this one right here. For, like, forever, I felt like Soph and Eli kept waking up at 2 a.m. Right?
That was mostly the week prior to the exorcism. Like, that's when it knew something was happening.
But it would still happen. We were like...
It did happen, yeah.
But because we made a comment when they're at the beach. Remember that? The comment?
Yeah. But
Right.
that was more because, like, they were afraid to, like, go into certain rooms
So just-
alone.
Yeah. So
I
let's do
just so
that
I
background.
understand,
Yeah.
like, you guys were at the beach, and this was how long before they started waking up between 2 and 3 in the morning?
So they kept doing it, like and it was indiscriminate. Like one night it would be Eli up, wake at 2 o'clock. The next night it would be Sophie, and so we were never getting a full night's sleep because
Okay.
we as parents we rotate. So like I know tonight is PJ's night to be with Alex, and it's great because I'm gonna sleep all night. I'm like, super excited. I mean, I love you. Anyway, because, you know, the kids wake up. So you first you're like, okay, whatever. Kids wake up. You have to put them back to sleep. But it was consistent to the point where, like, we were exhausted. And so we go to the beach. And this is all PJ's story. But PJ says to the kids...
I'm like, so what do you think of the place? You know, and they called it the tree house because it was a second story of a condo, and you know, on the beach and everything. So it just had this tropical feel to it. And they're like, oh, we love it here. Sophie, she was the one that was like talking at the time. She's like, oh, we love it here. And I'm like, yeah, you're not waking up in the middle of the night or anything. She goes, no, it's. She's like, well, there aren't any monsters here. And I go, oh. What do you mean monsters? And I'm like, are there monsters at home? She's like, yeah. I go, what do they look like? And she goes, black.
Ooh.
Like shadows? Did she specify?
She didn't elaborate.
She couldn't, yeah.
But considering from last episode, like, you know, that's what we
Stalking
saw, black figures all around the house
Black
and stuff.
thing in the bedroom.
I was like, oh. Like, I know what you're talking about.
And so I think for us it was heartbreaking because it's fine if it's stealing your dress and your shoes. It's fine if it's pushing you down the basement steps. But if your kids are scared...
It's actually not.
Yeah, it's just trying to, like, you know, make this happier.
You can say it is, though.
It's fine. With, like,
I mean,
the
as
extra ends,
parents, I get that
fine.
you're okay with things happening to you and not to your kids, but it's still not okay.
It's all about relativity.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, I just, as a mom, it just broke my heart to know that I couldn't protect my kids. Like, that's what really bothered me was, you know, I thought we were doing a good job. The kids were happy. They were healthy. But to hear that from them really broke my heart. I just thinking about it makes me sad. Because we come back then, that's where my notes then pick up. And of course, it's first
Come
day
back to the house, you mean,
yeah,
right?
we come back home from the beach. It's first day back, so of course, as a mom, I'm doing laundry. You know how it is.
Right.
I do not.
Shut up, right. So I'm in the living room, and I'm on the floor folding, because I used to fold laundry in the living room. Now I'm lazy to upstairs in the bedroom. Or smarter? Probably smarter. But anyway, I'm on the floor doing laundry here. And PJ had taken Eli somewhere, because back then we had 2 kids. We would just divide and conquer. So I think they had gone to the grocery store to get groceries or something, because it was just Sophie and me in the house.
Yeah, probably things that we...
Like milk.
Yeah, milk, things that we couldn't take to the beach with us and would have expired over our trip, so...
Right.
So I think he went to Walmart to get, like, the staples, and I'm just there folding laundry, and Sophie's sitting on the couch, and, you know, she's potty training, and she goes, Mommy, I gotta go pee, and she does, like, the whole, like, you know, grab the legs thing, and I kind of go, then go upstairs, like, you know where the toilet is, like, you are potty trained
Get
at
the
this
heck out of here.
And she goes, but I can't. The man in the blue suit won't let me. And I go, what? And she kind of like points over in the living room, because on the other side of the living room we have the archway, and above the archway we have like a little valance that holds curtains, and we have sheer curtains that hang down. It looks very nice. It's been there since it's actually from your parents, I believe. Yeah. It's very pretty. But no joke, as I kind of like, I'm holding the laundry in front of me, and I kind of turn my head to the left because I don't want to spook whatever it is. I look over. There is legitimately a guy in a blue suit sitting behind the curtain, and he's kind of leaning towards us, which is like, it freaked me out because I could feel that he was like leaned towards us. And I can only make out his outfit because, again, the curtain, it's sheer white, so you can see kind of through. It's kind of translucent, but it's a dark, severe blue suit. I can see his feet on the bottom because the curtain doesn't touch the ground, so I can see his very shiny, polished black shoes. He's wearing a bowler hat, like circa 1920s. I can't see his face, but unlike the guy in the attic where I felt just sad in that dream, I felt this incredible hatred. Like, I had never felt more fearful in my life. And I was pushed down steps in the basement, like, for crying out loud. You know, there's a thing in the basement. But I felt like it wanted to hurt me. And it was just staring at me, like, how dare I even exist? And, of course, you do that double take, naturally. And when I do double take, it disappears. And Sophie, God bless her, goes, "Thanks, Mom, you scared him away. I'm going to go pee now." And I go, "I'm coming with you. We're going to stick together." So that freaked me out. And that was our first day back from the vacation after they had said the comment at the house to PJ. And it just really unnerved me. So I want to say it was that night or it was the next night. I said, "Sophie, I know you talk to Daddy about the things that are black in the house that are scary." And, you know, you guys remember, but our listeners won't know this. Eli had a very bad speech impediment when he was young. So he really couldn't talk. We could understand him most of the time.
Can I do a sample?
Yes.
Okay. This is the most... It's burned into my brain. This is a real example where he came up to me all excited because, "Holy ha hoo." And I had him repeat it. I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Holy ha hoo."
I know what he said.
I knew on the first time.
Yeah. Sophie lost a tooth.
Yes.
See? Yeah.
And I did get it because I'd been around him enough to know, but like there's actually a play, it's called A Flea in Her Ear, and like it's the same thing where the character can't say consonants. And it's basically that. And yeah, I mean, so but that's my point. Like when you get to know that cadence of his voice, you can pick up on it.
Yeah.
And I eventually did. It took me 2 tries, but I got him. Yes.
He replaced every consonant with H's.
Yes. And so just for our listeners to give an example of what was happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He would have been 3 at this time, too.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he's just a little guy.
Yeah.
Little guy
So,
anyway. They're hard to understand in the first place.
Asking him would have been useless. And, you know, he's so soft-hearted. I didn't want to, like, bring up anything sad with him because, like, when you make him cry, like, the world cries.
It's so true. He's
so
the kindest,
sweet.
sweetest heart. He still is to
And
this
Sophie
day.
and I, like, we have very similar mentalities. I can have a conversation honestly with her. And so I said, "What are you seeing that is black? I just need to know." Because at this point, she's in her room that she has now, which was the guest bedroom for PJ and me, where we had that black thing, you know. So for me, I'm thinking, crap, this was the room that we were in that I talked a different language. Like, this is important. And she goes, "Well, over on my my Woodsy table, I saw something." And I said, "So over there." And her Woodsy table was in the same location where our bed was when PJ saw the black thing. So immediately my brain goes to that, you know. And she goes, "Yeah, but I saw it, like, it was definitely a person and it was staring at me." And I'm like, "Explain this to me." And so, of course, our podcast listeners can't see me do this, but I'm going to stand up on the chair so you can see what she said. She said, "Well, it was crouching on the chair like this and looking at me."
So basically, crouching
Almost
on
like
a chair, kind of like Gollum style.
Almost like a gargoyle is what I would
Yeah, but she was very
envision.
specific because she did an example and it freaked me out because she has long hair all the time.
Hang
That
on,
was
do you want me to
creepy.
take a picture? We can post it.
Sure, but it's a podcast. I'm like, ooh, spooky.
All right, should you hold your wine?
No, but she's like, the one arm was longer than the other one, and its head was turned toward me, but sideways like this, and it was just looking at me on the bed, and I'm like, okay, should I go back in my position?
One more.
There you go. One more picture
We're
for
good.
the viewers.
We're good. We're good.
And it was just so, she was so specific, and it was so, she's like, what really scared me is the one arm was super long, and it was hanging off the table, because it was on the edge of the table, and so it was crouching on the table looking at me, and its head, like, did this. And I said, did it go
Tilted
all the
way to the
around?
side.
Yeah, tilted, thank you. But, like, did it go all around? She's like, no, it kind of just kept, it did this.
Angled.
And then it stopped at, like, almost like a 90-degree angle. But it just looked at me, and that's when I started screaming. You guys came into my room. So I'm like, okay. And I didn't ask her how many times she'd seen it, but I was like, once is enough. So I'm not going to ask you if it's been more than once. But that's when, for me, I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do. This is beyond my experience. Obviously, holy water isn't working. Having a blessing in the house isn't working. Having a mass in the house isn't working. What can we do to protect our kids?
Right. And I think ultimately this goes back to conversations that we've had before where it's like, you know, like if these things were all individual, if these things were happening once every 5 years or whatever, you'd be like, it's just imagination or, it's just whatever.
There's
Yeah.
a chain of events.
Yeah.
When you get right down to
but
it.
it's the constancy. And that's the thing that may be hard for skeptics to believe or understand. It's this constant stream of weirdness that keeps happening, especially when it's similar, you know, and
Well, I think like for us too, again, it's that cycle, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about how difficult it is to leave a haunted house, but also how you start questioning yourself and your intelligence because
Right.
PJ and I, what you guys are too, we're highly degreed, highly intelligent people. Like part of our brain says there's no way there could be ghosts. That's just fantastical. I teach literature. Literally today I was teaching horror and fantasy and I said horror and fantasy is fiction, which means it's fake, you know? So like there's a logical part of your brain that says it's not real. And then it goes in cycles where it's bad, nothing happens. It's bad, nothing happens. So during that nothing happens time period, you're kind of like, okay, maybe I made it up.
Yeah.
But we're at the point now where we couldn't be making it up. And our kids were seeing it too. And we have made sure at that point to never tell them the house is haunted. We never told any
Even
of
to
our stories.
this date.
Yeah,
like-
they're not
That's
here
true.
for this podcast
Nope,
right now.
nope.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
Plus
the
it's
thing.
past their
even,
bedtime.
You know,
It's past their bedtime.
Yeah.
We're decent parents
That is
sometimes.
true. But that's true. Like even like with our house, like, you know, like Ray and I, we chalked up a lot of weird stuff to our cats, but like our cats weren't taking like Ray's wedding ring and sticking it in a paper bag in the refrigerator. You know,
Or-
I mean, like and closing the door
Or
behind
it's
them.
really weird
Like,
for
it's
like
just
all
weird.
our
Close the
cats.
refrigerator
Yeah,
door.
it's true. Yeah.
Well, that's another. Like, it's really weird for all our cats to focus on something that just, for
Right.
us, just isn't there.
Right.
You
Or
know?
the fact that you two lived with us and you also heard things and experienced things. Like, it's not just one or two random people. Like, there's a group of people who are all saying the same thing.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you guys this though, like because you're, you know, like as you had mentioned, very educated, so very logical, you know, very logical folks. But do you ever feel like the more you thought or you tried to chalk it up to logic, the more it tried to manifest itself,
Oh,
or
yeah,
like
that's
the
how
more
we
it
wanted
was
to be
like,
known.
yeah, it wanted to be known. That's a good way of putting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, and I never ever tried to talk to it because you know the stories. You don't use a Ouija board. You don't draw pentagrams. You don't do any of that stuff. And I try to live my life by a decent mode like that, you know. And so the one time that I talked to it is when I saw it down the basement. And so I tried just to not talk to it because I didn't want it to know that it was here and that I knew it was here.
This was not when you were pushed, right? This was
No,
a
that was
separate-
before.
That
But
was
after
before.
I talked to it, that's when things started happening in the basement. So don't talk to the ghosts.
Right. Because it's acknowledgement.
Though I wonder if we screwed up a bit because we had dowsing rods and we used them to like find things in the house and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you
and I'm
know?
wondering,
We haven't used them
we all got
in
those.
years,
Yeah,
but-
Yeah,
we
we
got
got
those
them in
and spin it together.
Savannah. Yeah.
And they worked, but I'm
Yes.
wondering if, but you know, I couldn't even put that in our timeline because I don't know, like,
Yeah,
Because that was way before you even moved in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we
that
got
was
them
way
before we even moved into the house.
Yeah.
But we used them in the house for sure.
That's
to
true, but
find
I feel
things.
like things were already happening in our house.
Oh, yeah,
before
things
we
were
had
already
dowsing
definitely.
and things
rods,
happen
so
in here.
maybe.
You'd Megatron attack, and it's
And the horse. Don't forget the,
The
horse.
horse.
On the horse.
That is
I
true.
forgot
Creepy
to forget the
haunted horse.
Of course, of
I
course.
actually don't remember the horse situation.
It's in their attic. I gotta get it.
It's in our
Oh,
We still have it.
I
No,
have it.
she does in
I
her
have it.
attic.
wait,
sure-
we have
I
the
think
horse
so.
in our attic?
Yes.
I am like
Sucks to
95%
be
sure.
you, Ray.
I don't. Is it? Are you talking about the puppet? No.
Puppet?
No, it's like a
plastic
Barbie-esque horse.
Yeah, it's bigger
Oh.
than a Barbie horse,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
similar. And it
You can
has
keep
jointed legs. It's very
It's hers
cool.
anyway.
Brown
It's
with
very
like
cool.
white spots.
Tan.
Because we actually have like a marionette puppet. I want to
We
say.
used to. We don't anymore.
Oh,
Where did it
I
go?
remember that.
Actually, I love that
Remember
thing.
that?
It was really cool.
I don't know what happened to it. Anyway,
Wow.
neither here nor there. But yes, we still have the quasi-haunted horse.
We should really talk about this.
You should bring it. We could put it on the podcast.
Ooh,
No,
no.
it can stay there. She can take pictures.
I will bring it
Oh,
if I
Actually, I
can
don't
gift it.
really know if I want it to.
Oh, shucks.
Take a video of it.
This is our last podcast for the Wellhouse Exorcism, so
Part
But I was thinking
of 3.
If you say it right,
because the
House.
website
You're
says
welcome,
too,
Ray.
like we can keep getting together to talk about like,
The gift that keeps on giving.
but we could talk about like spooky
Giddy up.
stories
Yes.
that we
Yes,
find
yes.
on the internet. And
That's the
just,
new one.
we can
Giddy
figure
up
out if they're
extra.
real or not.
I have some good options.
Me too. There's one.
I hope our listeners listen to a conversation. What the heck?
We got 2 conversations happening,
This will be cut.
and they're
Oh, I
diagonally
cannot.
across
It was
the
too good.
table.
We gotta keep
But
this.
there's this one YouTube video, and this guy, he's a not a spelunker, but like he's a
Cave dude, right?
yeah,
Is that what
he
it is?
goes into caves and he goes
Those are
into
spelunkers.
but he goes into like abandoned mines too.
Those are also spelunkers.
A cave spelunker
Cave
adventurer.
dweller.
Yeah,
I
and
always
his
thought
whole
of them as
YouTube
squatters.
channel- his whole YouTube channel is just
Lord
him
of the
going
Rings
in old
and Paul
mines,
Blart.
like old coal mines, and just like checking them out. He's like, here's the sluice, and here's this, and like he goes through
Is
all
his
the
name Durin?
no.
Oh,
No.
wow.
And he goes through all the historical cool stuff that's in these old mines and like how they operated. But then there's one where he walks in there and he hears like clanking of chains in the mine. He's like,
Isn't this on YouTube?
yeah.
Yeah, you
and
watch-
he's
Oh my
like,
God.
and he's like, I don't know if I want to go in here anymore. and like,
I made a terrible mistake.
yeah, and then like he goes farther in, and one of the chains is just swinging violently, and he's like, "I'm getting out of here right now." And like, so like it's not staged because he's never done a paranormal video because he's
That's
not
not
a
his
paranormal
shtill.
That's not
channel.
what. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You know, and
exactly.
so like for this to just randomly happen in one of his videos, it adds like this piece of genuine.
Wasn't there a voice
Yeah,
too?
it's-
Did he hear
Yeah,
people
he
calling?
gets
Yeah.
like a voice in it too.
It's
of
a real
something.
experience.
It's really cool.
You have to
Yeah.
tag it in the comments for this.
The thing
Yeah,
is, like,
yeah.
you can. He sees the mouth of the cave the entire time. He doesn't even go very far.
He goes a little bit in,
But you feel like in the water, like the water is gross too. He's walking
yeah,
in.
yeah, it's cool. It's
The
really
mood
cool.
is perfect.
Yeah. But anyway,
Kills.
I just
Ooh.
think it's dirty. Ray wouldn't like
Goosebumps.
that part.
I don't.
That is true. So yeah, for our listeners who may not know, Ray does not like, especially like dirty people on television. And by dirty people, like mud wrestling would be like Ray's nightmare, especially if it were filmed. Am I right?
I mean, it's not exactly Plan A for me.
Like
No, I don't.
he can
Really
enjoy
appreciate
Braveheart because baths aren't a regular thing.
This is what I took away from like AP history.
boy.
I'm like, people did not bathe regularly. That's like, I mean, like, and there's plenty of like to take into consideration.
yes.
a sign of wealth was a white shirt because if you were poor, you couldn't keep it white.
Actually, I remember
and that's
that.
why we're all black.
I know.
Right now, I'm wearing gray and black.
I
Yep.
I have never been so hyper aware of personal hygiene. So like after like AP history, junior and senior years at my high school.
So
Well,
yeah.
my students just read Fever 793, right? And in that, they're getting ready to send her to a tea party. And so they're brushing her hair. And she's like, I never brush my hair. I only wash it like once a month or whatever. And the one person's brushing through a big chunk of jam that is dried in her hair. I'm like, yeah, girls, she don't wash that hair. You know what I'm saying? They believe that it kept them healthy to stay dirty. Ugh.
Ugh.
See, this is Ray's worst nightmare, which is
I
why, which is 100% why he would not go into cruddy water. So, yeah.
So anyway, back to the less horrifying, but also scary.
I mean, it's pretty horrifying for me.
Yeah. We have a well in the basement. That water's clear, though. So
Okay.
Would you
not
drink
dirty.
it?
You, if you want to, but the priest
know
told
what?
us not to lift the slab.
Hard pass. Swipe
I mean, you
left.
could get one of
I
those.
have bottles of holy water instead.
One of those straws, the life straws, right? That it's supposed to like filter
Yeah.
everything, including evil
Yeah.
spirits, right?
Evil spirits. Let me just test this out.
Instead
I'll
of
give you an honest
desalinator, it's the
review.
desalinator.
Oh!
De-Satanator, I like that. But it almost sounds like he's wearing the word saint, and we want to keep those. We don't want
yes,
Satan. We gotta
definitely.
think of
Yes.
Oh boy. Anyway, so I want to say at that point we had blessings every 6 months. We called it our semi-annual sale. What are you laughing over? Do you have another comment?
No, he started.
I was just thinking about like how we had like that water report recently.
So the town releases
Yeah, I know,
a
it's-
quarterly water
I
report.
know it's just like
Yeah, well, the demon percentage is high.
It's below.
Below nationwide
Yes.
limits,
Good compared to, New York.
Compared to DC, shoosh, we're fine.
It's not quite gates of hell yet, but it's limbo levels.
Just only from one house. Hayden's could calm down.
I should have just
literally,
not have
though.
done anything.
Literally, though, it says if your water tastes funny to run it for 30 seconds. I'm like, oh my word, this is the advice. So,
Yeah.
If I run it for 30 seconds, will my soul be okay?
Yeah, I
as
mean,
long as
if
you're
your
also
water
saying our
burns-
Father at the same time.
There we
Yes.
go. Okay. Ooh, thank God. All right. So anyway, I want to say the house got blessed because it was, again, every 6 months our house got blessed. We call it our semi-annual cleaning. So if Bath and Body was doing their semi-annual sale, we were doing a semi-annual blessing at this house. And so things were pretty okay, but then we had the picture fly off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell that story.
So, yeah, we have 2 different videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we probably should say that Sci-Fi was talking to us at that point.
Not yet. Oh.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they
So
were.
we started taking videos because
Yeah,
of them.
Sci-Fi Channel called us. Well, they messaged me over Reddit because they had read one of my stories of the house, and they're like, "Hey, we want to talk." And they're like, "Oh," they started off with saying like, "I'm not sure if you've heard of our show, Paranormal Witness."
Yes.
So I'm like, "We watch the show all the time," and
It makes us feel better.
yeah, and so we had
Ours
a
isn't as crazy as that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we say. So we had a 2-hour-long conversation with his name was Matt, I believe.
It was British. It was very confusing.
And the first thing we said, because our interview was literally the day after they aired the episode on the real Conjuring family.
Yeah, it was good.
And we're like, dude, last night we just saw that episode, and like our story is nothing compared to that. Like if you have had our story season 1 when you had all the boring people on, like sure, we probably would have made it on TV, but you don't want our story right now. Like we're just not there, we're not at that level. And he's like, yeah, he's like, all right, like, thanks for telling me, but I still want to hear your story. And so we tell him everything, and he's like, you know what, like, yeah, like you're not ready for TV yet, but take some videos, keep in touch with me and stuff like that. And, if anything happens, that, like if things develop or anything, like maybe we can in the future.
Then they got canceled.
Yeah, then they got canceled.
I don't want to talk about it. We were back. He told us
I blame the dumbass werewolf episode on that
language. But we were a back burner episode for season 5. Like he told us we were back
yeah.
burner. We were anyway because he said like the stories in the basement were great. Like they could turn that into a full hour.
They could dramatize that.
Yeah. He's like, this is good. We'll just like fasten. We'll quicken up the timeline. That's all.
Yep.
Totally
So-
missed the whole exorcism.
I know.
Yeah.
I
I
know.
mean,
Right.
the whole, like...
They should bring back that show just for us now.
It's true.
Well, the worst part is Microsoft deleted my email account, so I don't even have like his contact information
Very
anymore.
If you're listening out there,
Yeah, Microsoft.
If you're a really
I'm
good
coming for
hacker,
you.
Can you
That's
get that
another
email
episode
back?
in and of itself.
So we started recording things because he told us to, and
Yep.
so
And so it was October. Oh, gee, I have the date. Maybe future me will cut this in later. But it was October 2017. We're sitting watching TV, and all of a sudden we just hear a from the hallway, and we're like, "What was that? Like, what the heck was that?"
as a parent, you go, "Kids, what did you do?"
Yeah. And so we're all like in the same room though, so we get up and go into the hall.
And Sophie goes, "It wasn't me. I'm right here." And Eli goes, "Oh no, Eli was Eli."
Yeah. And so
Sorry,
we go
I'm
into the
thinking
hall.
Alex in my head because we're kids
Yep.
now. But so I was like, "I'm right here. It wasn't me."
And on the floor is a picture frame upside down, like glass underneath it, just shattered on the floor. And I look up at where it came from, and it would have had to. It fell from our steps, so it would have had to fall off the wall, hit the railing of the steps, bounce onto an antique sewing machine that was next to the steps, and then onto the floor.
But further away too, like
we should have heard like boom, 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 like 3,
Several, yeah.
several hits. Instead, it was just the one. like, and
we had seen him, but from our corner of our eye, like, kind of swinging around.
Yeah, from the angle, like, it would have had to be thrown. It couldn't have just fallen, because there would have been glass all over the place, not just there.
And it would have fallen on the steps, I think, too, because it would have hit the
yeah, it wouldn't have gone backwards. Yeah, because it definitely moved, like, the wrong direction that it should have moved. You'll see in the video, too, because I'll post it to the website. But, yeah, it definitely just moved the wrong way. Like, it didn't follow any type of physics at all. And if it did, like, hit the railing and then the sewing machine and then the floor, there should have been a trail of glass the whole way backwards down into the hall.
Right.
But there wasn't. It was
nice.
It was all right under the picture frame.
Right, and plus a trail of bump, bump, bump.
Yeah, there should have been repeated
trail.
sounds, not just one.
Yeah.
Well, initially we thought it was Eli because he was on the landing and he was crying, but he was looking up towards the hallway. And so I said, "Are you okay?" And he kept pointing up towards the hallway. So something actually shoved him down. He got pushed down and something had gone up the steps. So that I found interesting because, and he couldn't have reached it anyway. He was a baby. You know,
Yeah,
so
he was 4.
There was no way that he could have reached up and hit it anyway. Just impossible.
Right.
Yeah. And then a year and about a week later, I think it was a year and 5 days later, so same exact time, October, but it was 2018 now. We were sitting at this table, had a Halloween party. Mm-hmm. There's a whole table full of people, and we hear this.
No, that year, 2017.
No, it was 18. No,
I'm
it
right
was 17. Yeah, so 2016 was the
got
picture.
In 2019.
Yeah, so 2016 was the picture.
I think about babies. I think of when babies were born.
You're doing the math.
That's my timeline.
You were doing the math as a mama.
I know it's weird, but that's how I time it in my head.
Well, I remember that September 18 is the Exorcism.
Yeah.
So it had to have been 2017 was
I win
the party. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we hear this tremendous boom from upstairs. Yeah.
We're in
And
this room right here in the dining room.
Yep, and so we just yell, "Kids!" And the kids are
think it's so
literally 10 feet away from us.
Somebody goes, "Mommy, we're here on the couch."
And we're like, "Oh, yeah, right. Cats!" And we're like, "Where are the cats?"
And they go, "Mommy, all the cats are with us."
And we look and they're playing with cats. Like the one time that they're playing with cats.
Everyone has an alibi.
Yeah. And we're like, all right, who wants to go search a house? And so
we were hoping that Sophie had stacked things in her room, because they're all it was a Halloween party, right?
Yep.
So all the friends are over, and they're idiots. Kids can be stupid. So we figured maybe they stacked some stuff.
Yeah.
No, her room.
Well, can I ask, was it like our boom? You were there for that Norwex party, right? When we had the boom that shook the house and it sounded like a small explosion went off. Was it that kind of a level, or
That's a good question.
Or was it more like a body falling?
No, it sounded
yours
like
seems like more chemical, like something had exploded. That makes sense in your
Okay.
house. Ours sounded like
something falling.
Yeah.
It sounded like
Yeah, ours did sound like a small bomb
It
went off.
sounded like
It felt
something was
that.
coming from the basement,
It
right?
did,
and then
yeah.
you went down to the basement.
I went down
and
to the
that thing
basement. I was like, check the
remember
beams,
that.
I
whatever.
do, because that
Yes,
basement.
When was
the
this?
Norwex party.
The Norwex party.
Yes, the Norwex party.
Like that
Yeah.
means anything.
Because the lady was there showing the whole chicken thing.
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't
Yes.
there. I was watching the kids. You went to the
Oh, that's
party.
right. I went to the party. That's right.
It was weird. Yeah, no, but so there was the poor Norwex lady, mom and dad. I'm trying to think who else.
I
I'm
can't
pretty
remember.
sure.
I
Jen
just
was
know
there,
that we.
too.
So in traditional Halloween haunted house fashion, we split up and searched the house.
in pairs for safety's sake.
we really thought that it was like a mess in Sophie's room. We really thought
Oh,
it was
yeah.
that.
Well, because it sounded, you said, like almost like a
Something
body falling or something.
Yeah,
on
so
fall.
kids
It looked like
roughhousing.
toys, not
It's a
bodies.
dresser.
Well, I could have seen kids roughhousing and someone slamming down, and just
well,
being
So,
It
silly.
sounded like
Kids,
toys
yeah.
falling to me, but anyway,
Big toy.
big toys.
Yeah. So we search every room, and there's no mess. There's nothing. So we're just like, what is...
Well, there was a mess.
Well,
it was like kids had been there playing
yeah.
mess.
Yeah, children messes.
Yeah.
And we're like,
What's left?
well, there's our bedroom, but the door's closed because our room was kind of a mess at the time.
No,
but
it was clean. I cleaned it up.
we just didn't want the cats in there.
We don't want the kids in there.
Or the kids.
100%
Or just people.
no, the kids.
Or people.
Nobody wanted
Halloween
company.
party?
I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's our bedroom. We don't really...
right? You don't entertain. Well, I don't. I don't.
Don't presume with it.
Not that kind of person.
It's like my OnlyFans account.
Those parties are on
I'm kidding, I don't have
on
one.
Thursdays. We call it Thirsty Thursday.
Oh,
You came up with that really quick.
I have ideas.
yeah. She does teach literature.
Today's
I think
Tuesday, we're okay.
alliteration is no stranger to her.
No.
She's familiar with, things.
But then I have a question for you guys, if you don't mind. Like, because it was like October to October,
It
right?
was.
Yeah.
Do you feel, or did you ever perceive like some sort of like anniversary-ish sort of thing for like things to happen?
Oh, it's
You mean, like,
always
timeline?
September through November.
Yeah.
Always.
Always
always
the
the
fall, huh?
Yeah.
Things happened all year, but the crazy stuff happened.
Happened
Yeah.
around then.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was more like a cycle, like it was a timeline almost.
Because
Yeah.
I'll say I don't know if I ever made a connection seasonally for us.
for us, but I never really paid attention to it either. So it could have been. I just never noticed.
Yeah.
But it did feel kind of
kinda just
continuous.
prepared.
I actually don't think we noticed until I took those 2 videos and realized
Yeah.
the date
Yeah.
discrepancy.
The decorations.
between them, you know.
I decorate for Halloween. I'm not sure if you can tell, but in the picture or the video of the picture falling, the banister is all done up for fall. So, yeah.
And you can just right click on the file and see when it was recorded. And, all that.
Some people don't do that because we look at the pretty picture.
I
Oh, they
mean-
both happened at about the same time too. One was 8 o'clock, and the other one was like 8:20 or something
Oh,
like that
wow,
too.
that's very
I did not know
Yes.
that until this minute right now.
Yeah.
Wow. What time
Yeah.
is it?
Well, I'm glad I asked the question then.
Yeah.
I just learned
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Kind of like I learned about pentagrams in the attic.
Don't look at me. I didn't know it was there.
I mean,
I knew about
Honestly-
the starry night sky.
Honestly,
that was
we
the
were
coolest
there
thing
in the
ever.
attic and we didn't know about the pentagram.
we
Unless
lived
you
in
have
the
something
attic, for
else.
Pete's sake. We didn't know.
So anyway, we start looking in the rooms.
Yeah.
We realize it has to be our room, if anything.
Because every other room was fine.
PJ
and-
opens the door.
We opened the door and it's trashed to the point where we realized as we started inspecting things that things crisscrossed across the room. So stuff near our
Wait,
dresser.
before you do that story, we open the door and we see the mess, and we realize it came from our room. And we know that it's a ghost or something bad happened because it looks like a cyclone went through. We just close the door and we go, anybody thirsty? Hungry? We try to go back downstairs and act like everything's fine.
For some reason, everyone had a place to be after that. I mean, the party ended
look at
pretty
my
quickly.
wrist.
Oh, well.
And like Amber, I love. She's so great. She's like, we tried staying a little longer for you guys because we could tell that you were upset.
They were the last ones.
They
there.
were the last ones to leave, but even they left us. So
I mean, sooner or later it was going to happen. So.
it ended really for our Halloween parties. That was really early. So
It was like 8 people who witnessed it, though.
yeah, but it was honestly, we always say it felt really good, right?
It was
It's
vindicating.
vindicating, yeah. So they leave, and we're like, okay, let's get the kids in the tub because we have church tomorrow. And then we'll inspect the room. So we put the kids in the tub, and at this point, they're old enough that we can trust them to like not kill each other, hopefully. And so we go in the bedroom, and that's when we realize that things have crisscrossed, as PJ said, because I had been Cinderella that year. And so I had like the makeup on the corner of my dresser, and that makeup was not there anymore. It was like across the room. And all of the decorations I had on the, what do you call it? Like the marble slab that goes on top of
Yeah, so like
radiators.
old radiator heaters have like marble
Yep.
slabs or granite slabs on top of them to like direct the heat and also serve as tabletops.
There you go. I didn't know any of that because I never had these kinds of houses
They're
before.
super
So-
pretty
Yeah.
too.
They are
Yeah.
They
very
are
pretty.
very pretty. The radiators are very pretty.
They just look good.
Just
Classy.
terrible heating.
Very classy.
Moving on. So I had all of these beautiful like willow tree kind of angels, but not all of them were willow tree. They were like the cheapo ones. And they were angels, and they'd been thrown across the room and decimated. And like, I would say they were like sacrilegiously destroyed.
Yeah.
Because their faces were marked up, and like their hands had stigmatas put through. Like there were metal pieces shoved into their hands.
Yeah, there's a nail sticking out of its hand.
Yikes.
And the wings were broken off and tossed everywhere else. And in that corner where the radiator was, there was a basket that used to be a beautiful laundry basket, but had been destroyed by whatever was in the room. And it was full of like broken pieces, glass. I called it like didn't I call it the laundry basket of like mess? I had some kind of like
I don't
ridiculous name for it, but it was a pool of nasty broken
Yeah,
things.
like pictures and statues and all kinds of stuff were just thrown in this basket. Do you ever see the video?
No, I don't think so.
Oh
Can't say
my
we
gosh!
have.
Well, that's gonna happen.
Or
on
we
time.
just
I don't
forgot.
think we ever have.
Because
We'll
that would be
watch.
creepy.
Yes, it's good though.
I feel like I would remember it.
What do you guys do with the figurines and stuff then?
We
trashed
tossed
them.
them.
We had
Okay.
to. There was nothing to be fixed. But then we realized that the entire room had been destroyed because beyond the bed, PJ found things like on the other side of the bed, which again, our when you watch the video, it makes more sense. And on the floor, PJ found a ring. Well, I think one of us found it. And at the time, I'm like, okay, that's just a ring that came out of nowhere. That's what PJ said in the video. But then when we cut the video, I remembered that's the ring he proposed to me with when we were in our town. Remember at the end when he
the prop
proposed?
ring.
Yeah, he used the prop ring from when we got married during the end of Act 2. We were the main characters in our town. And so he had put that in the Gordon's box that later my engagement ring came in. And that box was on their side of the bed. So whatever had come in this room, things were all over. So we couldn't logic any of it away. And because like the picture frame, even then, even the most skeptical person could logic that away, you know?
Right.
And so
right,
I
right.
tried to tell myself that ghosts aren't real, demons aren't real. But that moment, I was like, this is real. It wants to hurt us. And in that basket was a picture of Sophie. Her first Christmas with Santa. And I was like, if my daughter is in this basket of mess with broken glass and broken angels, I'm out. Like, my kids are not going to get hurt. You creepy thing, standing on woodsy tables, I'm done. Like, we're out. And so I kind of went, you forgot, honey. We're supposed to go to the farm for a sleepover tonight. Like, I loudly proclaimed it.
Let's go.
We forgot to pack.
Surprise sleepover.
Yeah. And the kids are like, where we going? I'm like, we forgot to tell you we're having a sleepover at Mimi and Daw's house, guys.
And then one of us like left the room to make a phone call to my parents' house.
Yeah, you
real
did.
quick. It was
Well,
me.
I finished getting the kids ready from the tub, yeah. And so I packed up everything really fast. We did go to church the next day because we had to tell Father to come bless the house. Like, listen, bad things happened. And that's when your story takes over because at the time, our kids are up at the farm. I refused to let them back in this house until it was something had happened. I just refused. Like that, I was like, full stop there, not coming back in this house. And so Father comes in to do a blessing. But we have Rosie the puppy at the time. She's still a puppy. And I'm playing fetch with her in the hallway down here to keep her busy while they're doing everything else because puppies get in the way. So PJ is with Father. And they go to the attic. Oh, was this after?
No, this is
That's after,
different.
right?
Yeah. So, anyways,
So Father does bless the house, but he wasn't like, I wouldn't say he was very effective. This is a different priest.
Yeah. So, to preface this, we have to talk about the priest because he was not helpful.
Yeah, there are good ones and there are bad ones. He was useless.
Yeah, just like all people, you know, like he was just not.
Different skill sets.
Present company excluded,
Well, and he's
of course.
no longer a priest. He
No,
quit.
Yes, yes.
But he said to me, well, if you believed in God, you wouldn't be attacked because you would know that God can beat demons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not allowed to be afraid. It literally destroyed my bedroom.
And then he replied, "No, you shouldn't be afraid because you have God on your side."
Oh my
and
God.
we're like,
Also, literally, if that's the case, then okay, I have so many things to say, but
right?
But basically, like, if I'm God and I've created Lucifer, and Lucifer is now like my enemy, and if you're saying, well, Lucifer shouldn't exist because God, well, then there's no logic.
No,
anyway.
there isn't.
And so I try not to talk badly. You probably haven't heard it because we tried to not be mean about it. You know, we try to be good people and not talk terribly.
It's
but
difficult when they're not being helpful for your
so
situation.
that's why I'm saying it has to be mentioned because we had to take matters into our own hands. So we came to you two because at this point you had been activity free for a while, months at least. By the time we came to you, and because you talked about burning a sage stick, and you said you still had it, so we're like, we need it because the priest did not help us. We need to do something.
Okay. Hook a brother up, literally.
So,
and then we did.
Yep. So you guys gave me like a prayer to say while burning it. I lost the prayer, so I Googled it.
No wonder there was a problem.
And
modern problems require modern solutions, Laura. The Google has everything.
The Google.
And so I started in the basement and worked my way up to the top. And
I'm keeping Rosie busy with the playing catch.
And I just hit every room, did this prayer.
One by one.
And slowly, like, just felt like I was cornering this thing, just pushing it from one space to another until the only place it could go was the attic. That was the last room. So I go up to the top of the stairs. I have the burning sage. I do the thing and say the prayer. And as soon as I'm done saying it, I get extremely dizzy and like lean into the threshold of the door. And at that same exact moment, I hear yelling downstairs. Just this, what are you doing? And I'm like, what just happened down there? And so I come downstairs, and Shanna has paper towels in her hands. And she's like, Rosie just had like the pee of a lifetime in the kitchen. And
in the hallway.
In the hallway,
It was
okay.
a river. It was awful.
And so, like...
It rushed you.
Yeah,
It
it rushed out of the house and scared the piss out of her.
that small should
Literally.
Which, I mean, this is so much like the story with Tink in the bed.
But I just want to say, like, there is no physical way that much pee could come out of a dog, but it did. Oh, it was awful. I mean, it was the biggest pee of a lifetime. I wasn't lying.
From a puppy, too.
From a puppy, yeah. So yeah, whatever happened, it happened. Like, it rushed out the house, as you said. Like, it rushed out PJ, and it was gone because
maybe
it was
not
the
out.
exact same moment.
I do believe that, like, animals, pets, like,
yeah.
they just...
Yeah.
They're
just a little more in tune. They see things that we might not be able to.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way about Tink.
Yeah.
We know that story
Yeah.
from, like, an episode past.
Well, I think Rosie knows
past.
that too, because the last part of our story, of course, is the exorcism, what led up to us getting the exorcism. But she stays in Eli's room. You notice he came downstairs here
To get the
her,
dog, yeah.
because he goes to bed with her, and she spends most of her night laying in there or in the bathroom because it's cooler because she's a fluffy dog and she needs a cool tile. But she stays in his room. She protects him, which hurts she's my dog, but.
She's the family dog.
Yeah, but she knows where she's needed,
Yeah.
which is good. So that happens, and we feel pretty good for a while because, like, whatever that was, like, it scared the piss out of our dog. So we're feeling pretty good.
You're feeling like something good happened, like
Yep.
you had progress, right?
But as PJ said, like, things started getting crazy. And we had told Father Mowry at that point some of our stories because he was a fresh priest, and we're like, "Oh, just want to hear some more stories," you know?
Yeah, and we're like, hey, just so you know, in a couple months, we're going to be calling you.
We might be calling you.
It happens every 6 months or so. Like, so just be ready for it.
And he told us, he's like, if anything happens at this point, I'm going to call in the big guns. I'm not going to come and do a blessing because you've had enough of that. This is ridiculous. And that's the moment I found out about the pentagram in the attic from your mother. And he realized, he's like, that's his favorite story. He's just like, I could tell that you weren't lying because your face when Deb mentioned that there was a pentagram she painted over, you're like, what? And he's like, it was the funniest thing because no one ever yells. Your mother is a saint. Like, I love your mom. But he's just like, no one ever yells at her. And to see you get so angry, he's like, yeah, it's legit. Okay.
That's true.
Like, Shanna's angry.
That's true.
Yep.
It's like
And-
getting angry at a sheep. You can't do it, you know? Like, they're just too sweet, you
I
know?
wish I had known about the whole pentagram situation prior to our taking
I almost have to
upstairs.
wonder. It's like, did we have ghost issues because of being in the attic
Being
and we took
affiliated
it
with the
with
attic.
us, and then
No,
you guys
because
were with
you
us,
look
and then
at-
it came back with you? I don't know.
Look at that house. The amount of people who have, like, divorced before you guys.
Well, that's true too.
The
We've had issues
there is
before us.
something,
That's
yeah.
true.
No, there was something in that
And
house.
we broke that
You did.
whatever
Knock
it
on
was.
wood.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
took a
Thing.
while, but you did, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
there are things
Mary
always
Jane
happening
over
here
yet.
because he had the power of yet, but negatively. Okay, growth mindset.
But yeah, when Father heard that story, though, he didn't even wait for activity to start. Like, he started the paperwork and everything then.
In preparation.
Yeah. So he never actually came to bless the house because he preemptively just started this
I just want to
process.
say, if he's listening, you're our favorite. We love you. You know that. He's always at our house anyway, but he is our favorite. Good friend. Moving on. Sorry. Shout out to Father Mowry. Best guy in the whole world. Literally saved our house and saved us.
I'm a solid number 2.
Yeah.
2? I was
don't
going to say
know, three.
like 11.
Okay.
11.
Well, I'm definitely in the top 20.
Top 20, yeah. Weekly top 40.
Every week we have to evaluate where he
We
stands.
do.
I mean, is it getting better the less he goes, or anyway?
Hey, I'm a constant fixture amongst the episodes.
It's true.
They're,
It's true.
more or
It's
less.
because
So
you bring the wine. But
Well,
yeah,
that's also true. We know our value.
this show's hate.
I'm a good person too, you guys. I
See, telling the listeners means you're trying to compel us to believe you.
mean,
The power
Maybe
of
a
Raymond
little.
compels you.
I know. Just
$2.
buy it already.
In a minute, you can talk to Miss Cleo. I mean, Ray.
Maybe you're the one we want, and Laura's the one that just kind of tags along.
I have thought about
She's your
this.
plus one.
I know.
Jeez, well now I feel real great. I got mine too, people. I drove in the rain to get it.
I cut everyone cantaloupe, but no one's eating my
Whatever, it's fine.
Fine.
Fine. Like my husband more than me. It's fine. Moving on.
I was gonna say it's because he's Asian.
Now it's awkward.
I
Super awkward.
I am. What? Wait, what?
What?
How did that happen?
Okay, now it's super duper awkward.
It's okay. You've only been married to him forever. All right. Anyway.
Ooh, 18 years next month.
Seriously?
Yes.
We have a high school senior.
Your marriage is going to be an adult.
Yeah. Oh. God, did you have to say it like that?
Your marriage can vote, but it can't drink.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Or gamble, which is fine.
Yeah. Or buy cigarettes now? Isn't it 21 for cigarettes? Or is that
I
don't
rumor
know.
I heard?
I know gambling was 20.
Technically.
Is it 21?
Yeah, it is. It is. Not that I was looking this up, but
But
like
you
as
can
I was
gamble.
reflecting on our anniversary or anything like that. It's like what can our marriage do and not do?
A lot.
Can't rent a car.
Really? At 18 you can't rent a car?
No, but it can vote.
See, yeah, I can vote.
Oh wait.
It's so knowledgeable
buy
to
a
vote.
gun?
Yeah.
Can I buy a gun?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so confused right now.
Because
Welcome to America.
It can also join the army, can't it?
It can
Yeah.
gamble with its life.
It
but
can't
not
join
with
the
its
army
money.
now, technically.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
You can join
really?
at 17.
Oh, there you have it.
Her
And
Wow.
start
Now.
boot camp and stuff now.
It can drive.
It can.
It can't
It
secure a driver's license.
Assign it a gender. I feel weird calling it it.
No, I like it.
It.
Yeah.
It doesn't like a
I mean, it
gender.
feels very non-binary though.
Yes, it
Can we
does.
call it a they or a them?
Okay, we just call it Alex or
Since-
Oh,
oh,
we
you
have
have an
Alex.
Alex. Oh my gosh, what am I thinking?
Mackenzie.
Chris.
Steven.
Taylor.
Steven. No,
like
that's not it.
With a PH.
We need like a non-binary
Taylor.
name.
I like
Taylor.
Taylor.
Oh, Taylor.
Taylor.
There we go. Taylor.
I mean, right?
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles. Oh, sprinkles. That's even better.
Oh, Skittles.
Skittles.
Okay.
That's a whole in joke for us.
Poor
Anyway.
marriage.
Moving on.
Back
We'll
when we were
edit
dating.
out
Back when
maybe.
we lived at your house, actually. He hated when I used like a lisp in my face.
Cheeks.
So I go, I like sprinkles and I like Skittles. And he hated it. So of course did it all the time. And so then I just became that dog, the thievin' dog. So he hates that thievin'. I was singing a song yesterday and I hit a low note and PJ goes, up there it is, that's it.
Yep.
That's the
It's
best.
the woman I married.
I don't know why Ray doesn't like it. What's not to like?
I'm just thinking of Spaceballs. She's singing, oh, she's a bass.
She's a bitch.
I think it sounds totally fine. I'm just saying. Moving on.
You sound like our nephew.
I don't know what
Actually,
you're
is
talking
one of
about.
my favorite Mel Brooks
I do
movies
sound like
of
him, though,
all
don't I?
time.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Spaceballs.
Oh
Men.
my god, great
We're
movie.
men in tights,
Totally
tights,
great
tights.
movie. Shall we move on then?
Moving on.
I don't know if there's one I don't like.
I like them all. Piss the World Part 1. Everything's so green.
That's probably my least favorite.
Is that the one that always look on the bright side?
No,
That's
Monty
Life of
Python.
Brian.
Oh, I'm
Monty
sorry.
Python.
Pardon
That's
me.
Monty Python. How dare you?
I do
How-
think though.
I'm like
I do
never gonna get
think
invited back.
Men in
Okay, did I
Tights.
say 11? Because I meant 25.
I don't think that Men in Tights aged as well as
Spaceballs, yes.
did.
So there was an awkward moment in my life where I was watching that at my house, and my mom and dad had gotten divorced, as you know. And so this is like a couple years later, and I go, Mom, why is Daddy on TV? My dad, when he was younger, looked just like Carrie Elways. He even had the mustache.
It was pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah, and so Jamie, if you look at my brother nowadays, if he put the mustache on and got the hair,
I can see it.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
can see it.
he looks just like my dad did when he was in the Air Force.
All right,
And
he
so
needs to put on a British accent.
So I go,
That's when he needs to go as for Halloween.
but I said to my mother, who was still very sour over the divorce, why is Daddy on TV? And she goes, that is not your father. How dare you? And I'm like, I did not understand until I was like 25. Like, it took me that long. I'm like, oh, it's Carrie Elways. It's not my dad. Okay. Oh, I see why she's upset now. It took me that long. Like, I'm not usually that
kids don't.
dumb.
Was she a little weird about like Carrie Elways movies, like The
No,
Princess Bride, or
because
like?
Mel Brooks is God. Like, she
Yeah.
loves anything Mel Brooks.
Okay, so she was
Who
fine with
doesn't?
men. But how about like The Princess Bride, which is not Mel Brooks?
I
but
actually
still...
never saw that as a kid.
Really?
I saw it
Really?
because of you.
That is weird. How did you not see it until we introduced
I'm
you?
wondering if it's because of Carrie Elway's look.
Inconceivable. I had
This
to.
all has to be cut now. Okay. Because my mom hears this, she's going to be upset. Anyway.
This is a topic of unusual size.
I feel very
I don't even know they exist.
awkward. This is so awkward. Anyway.
We're all like
So-
Princess Bride fans at this point.
We
I think they
forewarned
can know.
Father Mowry of our house, and he has already started the paperwork, just in case. And I don't know what actually triggered him to contact them. The Exorcist.
It was that story. It was just us talking to them.
No, something had happened in the house. We go, hey, we're gonna need you. And he goes, you know what? Not gonna come. Gonna call the Exorcist. Something small had happened in the house. It was, the usual. Something went disappearo, whatever. But he contacts the Exorcist, and that's an important thing that we want to talk about. And we have to put on here is like exorcisms in the Catholic Church. They get a bad rap because of the movies you watch. They are nothing like the movie.
Well, ever since I think it was like the 80s when the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose is based on like a true story where a woman was killed because the Catholic Church and this family swore up and down that this woman was possessed, but she just had epilepsy. And so this priest went to trial over it for murder, and like the family went to trial for neglect and all these other things. And so like now when anyone brings up exorcism, like all this red tape appears. So much red tape.
You are vetted.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I felt like, I don't know how you felt about it, but when they were asking questions, I felt like it was like an inquisition.
It was a
But I
lot.
kind of understand that, just to make sure that it isn't some medical condition.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Or that
Yeah,
it's
I
not
mean,
just
like-
some like really vocal, complainy people.
Or someone
like
looking for
zealots.
attention. Yeah,
Zealots,
exactly.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I do understand it. I think it can be very discounting if like you're suffering the real thing,
It is
right?
very disconcerting. It is like,
Yeah.
and we sat there. We had the phone on speakerphone, and the secretary was. We didn't talk to the exorcist at all until the day that he came.
Yeah.
It was all the secretary because she does all the vetting, and then he takes the information. He does all of his own research. Whatever. So behind the scenes, lots of stuff's going on. But there were like 40 plus questions during one questionnaire. Then there was a second questionnaire. And they were very specific about our home lives, our past. They discussed like who lived in the house. And I didn't even know that Ma had done like tarot reading, which we learned during that vetting. And I
Plus,
felt
she
like an
passed
idiot.
away in here.
Yeah.
In the house.
But this
Tarot
house
reading
old.
is not bad, though.
I'm
Well,
sure
I'm
many
sure-
people
yeah.
have died in this house, which sounds terrible, but it's an old house, you know.
Yeah.
And you used to pass away at home.
Well, I know.
I mean, I didn't.
I always
Well, not yet.
understood
Yeah, no, I mean, yes.
when we
Yeah.
bought
the
the
power
house.
of yet.
I know.
But I always understood that when we bought the house, there was a little old lady who lived here who passed away.
Yes.
And so, but that's how you pass away, hopefully, in your own home, the comfort of your own home. So that doesn't bother me because, I'm from the country, like whatever.
That can be a beautiful thing. It can be a nice thing,
Relax.
not a
Look
bad
at,
thing.
Look at mom. She passed away. Yeah, exactly. So that didn't bother me. But the vetting was so insane. Like the questions, and they were so specific.
So how long was this process
It was a
then?
while.
It was a couple weeks long because we had two
Okay.
interviews over the phone, and they were within like a week of each other.
And the first one was like a survey phone call, but it was long. The second one was based off of our survey, so we could tell the exorcist priest had read our answers and had sent very specific
follow-up questions. Yeah.
And so after that,
I will say though that I had a bone to pick with a couple of the survey questions.
Go ahead. It's
Like,
important for our
do you play
podcast.
D&D? And we're like,
Oh.
At the
No.
time, we didn't.
At the time we didn't.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a fun idea now.
What a great idea! We should do that. And
Wait.
turn it into a great podcast.
Yeah.
but
Can you tell me a little bit about D&D?
I was
Satanic
so
panic.
annoyed over
Well.
that one.
because
so
it is.
annoyed
It's
over
so.
that one.
It's like,
That's so
do you read
80s.
fantasy novels?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's
and they
basically
asked,
what
do
they're
you read
asking.
Harry
Do you-
Potter? Do you
yeah.
watch scary
Are
movies?
you
And I-
kidding?
And I, well, that was.
Yeah, do you watch
Do you enjoy fiction? I'm like, no.
I'm like, I'm an English teacher. I teach Poe. Like, I don't know.
I
What
mean,
else
I
you
guess
for me?
I could make the argument, because I didn't think of this beforehand, but even when we went to see our psychic, and one of the questions she asked us is, do you watch scary movies? Do you watch
But
Paranormal
that's a
Activity?
little
That
bit
kind of thing.
different in
And
my
because she was saying, essentially, are you creating an atmosphere?
You prep your brain, you know.
Right, where something
You open
wants
yourself
to
up to that.
be.
That
So
sort of
that's
stuff
so
creates
I watch a lot of
that.
serial killer stuff.
Even
Okay, this is dark again. But I mean, so like from that is that the vantage
I
point that
watch
they're,
it, I don't do it.
approaching it from?
yeah.
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 God. Oh my.
Even the documentary Demon House, which it's okay, but they start off by saying, like, you know, watching videos of this kind of stuff can cause things to happen because of that. So, like,
Yeah.
watch at your own risk,
And
kind
I
of thing.
believe,
Right,
like,
right.
you open up your mind to believe, and you start seeing things that maybe
Right.
you were like that aren't there, or you're like reading too much into it.
Which
I
could
get
be
it.
why kids see things more than adults, because their minds are open to that
Sure.
kind
I
of
actually
stuff.
never thought about that. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
So
That said, do
we-
I think Harry Potter does it? No, I do not. Absolutely
If Hagrid comes in here
zero.
with a letter, I'm going.
know,
like
right?
straight up, yes.
I'm
take
going
it.
to take my owl and
You
go.
spelled happy birthday wrong, but you know what? We're cool.
I will forgive you
English
that mistake.
teacher in me. I'm sorry. But so it was interesting, the whole dynamic of it, because the first survey, I felt like it was like a slap in the face in some ways. Like the questions were like, again, they were so pointed, and the whole D&D thing. We don't believe in the satanic panic stuff, and we don't believe in Harry Potter being bad. Like that's just a personal thing. I'm probably bad Catholic, but the second one, we knew that we were being taken seriously because the questions were just so more specific, and we knew that he had read everything that we had answered. So then we felt like, okay, he's taking us seriously. That's good. And so we were very honest in our second answers. And I couldn't tell you what the questions were at this point. Like, they were very specific about the house. And then, I mean, after that, things got real in this house. Whatever was here knew that something was going on.
Yeah, like it... Almost like, you know, like an impending war, you know, and everyone's like building up their sides, you know, their forces. And like the week leading up to the exorcism, you could tell it knew that it was coming, because for an entire week before, like, it was on a Saturday, and so every single day, starting with like Monday, I think it was, leading up to the
I
exorcism.
think it was right before church. I think it was Saturday night. It was a whole week.
Saturday night.
Yeah, it was a whole week before.
But at the same exact time, our kids woke up screaming. Not crying or talking, like screaming.
Middle of
Was
the
this
night,
around,
we were
like,
screaming?
so the
2:30
2
in the
to 3?
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always early morning like that. And they're in separate bedrooms, so it's not like one woke the other one up or anything. And
We would
it
go
was-
running. We would just rotate kids.
Yep. And we knew after the second night.
We just snuggled
We knew.
with them.
So it was ready to do battle, you know.
Yeah.
It was already preparing and trying to scare us out of it.
So then, comic relief of this, Saturday comes. We're prepared for
anything.
exorcist priest to come. What comes? But in walks in our house, Dumbledore. I'm not kidding, okay? The exorcist priest, Father Zeta, you can look him up online because now he's out in the open. We used to hide our exorcist priests because they're like the cool kids of the Catholic Church, so everyone wants to talk to them, get their signatures. But he looks like Dumbledore and a hippie had a baby. I'm not kidding. So in comes this guy. I'm kind of like, all right, where's Ashton Kutcher? Like, I'm obviously getting pranked right now. Like, I need to know, like, what's going on. But he was so humble. He was so great. And he was so knowledgeable. And so he said, we believe this house needs to be exorcised. And we'll talk about it more afterward. But it's definitely the house. And so he brought along another exorcist priest, a Ukrainian Catholic. And I do not remember his name. But he's an angel. Like I really believe, again, like for a person who never believed in ghosts, never like believed in, I believe you went somewhere when you died kind of person. I believe he is an angel sent from heaven because he has a gift. He can just sense things, and it was almost like talking to a psychic. It was really creepy. Like he just knew. So I stay downstairs here by the prayer corner with, Jesus watching. And the thing you don't get about exorcisms is it's usually done to a place, not a person. Like 90% of the time, it is done to a place, not a human being. And so they're exorcising the house. They start doing all their exorcist things. Again, I'm a Catholic, but I'm Catholic-ish. So all I know is that we got a litany going on, and we do not break the litany of prayer. So I can do a rosary. I got the Hail Marys. I got the Our Father. I can do that all day. All right, I can do that. So the three kids, actually the three of us, the two kids and me, we're here and we're saying whatever we need to do, like the Our Father or the Hail Marys. We're just praying straight, and PJ is guiding Father Zeta through the house.
Yep, and so. We start in the basement and work our way up, just like I did with the sage stick. And meanwhile, the Ukrainian priest is
with me,
guiding the prayer. And so we bless all that, and then he whispers into the Ukrainian priest's ear. And the whole time, the Ukrainian priest is just praying and like listening at the same time. And then immediately they trade. And so he starts praying. The Ukrainian priest starts walking and blessing the house.
So they each were doing their exorcist
and
blessings.
they never miss a beat. Like if one person
really cool,
stops
actually.
the exorcism,
really cool, actually.
Like the boy band.
It was like
Catholic
the
Church.
I know
It's
what we do.
Or it's like on cue,
Yeah.
like theater.
Yeah.
I'm in my corner
But not
praying on
really.
Our Father. Like I got my kids praying constantly. Little prayer hands.
But yeah, like when one stopped, the other one just picked it up, and they would throughout the whole thing, like you don't stop the exorcism.
You don't stop the prayer.
Well,
Litany continues.
I don't think I would have thought
You
to.
don't
Well, yeah,
want
yeah.
to, but yeah.
Like
The
Like
idea
I would
is
thought, because
that-
like in
I would
movies,
be like, well, just so I understand what's going on.
yeah,
It's-
because like in
it's-
movies and stuff,
the power of Christ
they'll put their
compels
thumb in the
you.
book and close the book, and they'll be like, you can just wait over here, and things
Well,
like
I
that.
know,
And,
it's like being
and
a
they'll put
polite
pause
person
in
at a
it.
theater production. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't interrupt.
Yeah, but for this, like,
You don't stop.
yeah, it's a constant stream for, it was like an hour.
And like my role was to continue, like basically doing a rosary, but never stopping those decades. Like just continually saying the Our Father. And I followed whatever they were doing, I did. But the kids and I never stopped praying.
So what time was this? Do you guys
In the
remember?
middle of the day.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was definitely midday. Yeah.
Yeah, suns. Oh, it was midday.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the story
I
later.
didn't know, like candles and
No,
stuff.
it is
Yeah.
not a dark and stormy night. No,
Right,
it is
yeah.
beautiful, sun shining, summer day. Continue.
Then the Ukrainian priest trades back off with.
No. Remember, he went upstairs. The Ukrainian.
Oh
priest.
yeah, so
This is the most important part.
This is why she tells the story mostly.
And I wasn't even there. I was downstairs right here.
So-
With Jesus.
Yep. So Ukrainian priest goes up the stairs and down the hall to Eli's room.
The nursery.
As soon as he crosses the threshold, he slouches and he falls into the threshold and just leans against it
Starts coughing.
and starts coughing, like gets a really bad coughing fit. And then he steps back into the hallway, takes some deep breaths, and he turns to me. He says, "This is where the activity happens, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, most of the time, yeah. Like this is where a lot of it's focused." And he goes, "I thought so." He takes a deep breath and steps back in like he's diving into water, and just slathers holy water all over the place, and then steps back out and takes a deep breath again. And he's like, "Okay, I think I'm good." And then like he leaves, and then he trades off again with Father Zeta and whispers something into his ear first, and Father's like, "We're gonna make one more pass."
Because we were in the impression when they first started that you never stop praying, and we're each going to do our own blessings of the house, and then we're done.
Yeah.
So I thought we're almost done. I can stop saying the Our Father. Like
We gotta be close.
So when he says we're gonna do a third pass, we're like, "Oh."
And we knew something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because if they're in the third pass, this house needs it. You know what I'm saying? Needs some extra cleaning. Needs some Mr. Clean in here.
So we do a third pass, and at this point we have run out of like holy water and oils. So he gets out the incense.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen incense, it's like in this metal canister that hangs
censer.
by a series of chains, and you
very
light some
fancy
charcoal, put some incense in it, and it smells and it burns. And
So we're talking about
smoke
like
everywhere.
The actual
almost like the
censer
mason
you swing.
chain sort of thing, as opposed to like the sticks of incense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
church, the sensors that they
Yes,
swing. Yeah, that's
yes,
a sensor.
about-
So he
yeah.
has
for
that.
people who
he's-
aren't in church,
Right, yes.
A mason
Right,
chain's a
right,
good
right.
example.
Yeah.
Now if they read the
Right.
reading by Poe, when he
I
says
know.
he hears angels with a censer swinging and
Oh.
perfume by, they know what a censer is now.
I mean,
Yep.
Just saying. There you go. Reference to Edgar Allan Poe
and
because that's me.
Yes. So we go. He's like, we're gonna bless the grounds. We're gonna make a lap around the house. We walk out onto the front porch.
This is Dumbledore.
Yes. Remember, imagine Dumbledore with white robes down to his ankles,
Super
A beard
long
down to his
hair.
waist.
huge beard,
Tied
Yes.
beard, just like Dumbledore.
long hair to his shoulder, past his shoulders. The incense smoke billowing up from around him, and we step
Lot
onto the
to take
porch, and across the street, the fire hall has every bay door open, with well over 100 people for a gun raffle and clam bake.
okay.
in our
I was just
area.
wondering. I was like, or did they think something was going to happen with like all the smoke and stuff? And it's
And
like,
they-
well,
No, a clam bake gun raffle. You
Well,
can't get more
like, is
rural
this
than that.
is this literally going to go up in flames? I mean,
So it's a very serious
So-
exorcism.
And dozens upon heads turn and look at me and my house and this priest. And then he turns and looks at me with a huge smile on his face. And he says, well, have fun explaining this to the neighbors.
So priest and exorcist priest can be fun too. Just saying.
It's a bad situation, but you don't lose your sense of humor.
yeah. And clearly you did not.
Yeah.
He didn't anyway.
So we bless the house. We do a lap. We come back inside.
While that's going on,
Uh-huh.
I'm inside, still continuing the litany. At this point, I'm just exhausted. The kids are praying. And again, that priest, and I don't know his name, and I feel so bad. This angel, he comes over and he goes, I sense a lot of fear coming from you. Can you explain to me your fear? And at this point, I'm still angry over what the previous father had said. Like, if you believed in God, this wouldn't be a problem. And I'm like, I'm afraid, not for myself. I don't care if I die. I'm afraid for my children because I cannot protect them. When they wake up screaming in the middle of the night, I can't stop that. Like I can stop a serial killer. I can stop someone trying to
Right.
grab my daughter on the street, but I cannot stop this. And it scares me because I want to be a good mother, and I just cannot stop this. And he said, I want you to just imagine that God's holy light is all around you. You need to just understand that. And once you can imagine that light around you, you're going to be more calm. But we're here to take care of whatever is attacking your children. But I just ask that you trust us in this, and that when we're done, you allow us to bless your son, because he needs a special blessing. Not your daughter, she's fine, but your son, I feel, needs a special blessing to protect him. And he's like, do you agree with that? And I go, whatever you think is going to protect my babies, I'm totally fine. But he was so calm. He was so polite. And he didn't even touch me, but it felt like he kind of gave me like an arm like hug. Like it felt like I just felt so calm with him. It was crazy. And from the outside, you could not tell that I was upset, because I'm really good at hiding it. Years of experience have taught me to hide my emotions in my family. Like, that's just how it is in my family. Ray understands. So I knew that I was putting on a good farce, but he's like, I can sense this deep worry that you have. And I'm like, oh, you can feel that? What? So I really believe that he felt whatever was in Eli's room, for crying out loud. Like, Father Zeta did not have that connection to the nursery that he did. I found that very interesting. So I really believe, and Father Zeta had said he is special.
Yeah.
He has, quote, a gift. That's all he said about this person. That's all we knew about. He's like, I bring him because he's special. He has a gift for this. And whoever he is out there, I forget your name. It was probably Ukrainian, which is why I can't pronounce it. But you are an angel. You're going to be a saint someday. One of our millions of saints.
I remember it was one heck of a last name.
It was one heck of a last name. Well, turns out it's like Father John. It was crazy. It was a crazy last name. But anyway, they finish the blessing outside. They come back inside. I'm feeling calmer. Everything kind of dwindles down, and they say, can we bless your son? And they do. Head to toe, they cover him in oil. They say blessings. And after that, knock on wood, Eli did not have another nightmare. And when Eli had a speech impediment. So, yeah. When he was trying to explain to Father Zeta the dreams he was having, Zeta's like, I need you to explain to me what you're seeing in your dreams. And we had to translate for him.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, it's like a bad video game, and I don't get to play the game. I'm forced to do things I don't want to do. And when Zeta
somebody else is controlling it.
Yeah. And when Zeta said, what are you being forced to do? Eli wouldn't answer. Like, he would not answer.
That must bother you like the heck out of as parents.
Yep. It broke my heart. And so Father Zeta's like, we need to bless him. We'll take care of that. To this day, Eli will go to the picture of all the different priests in our diocese, like in the social hall of the church, and he says...
Yeah, I'll point out Father Zeta and say, he's the man who took my nightmares away. And he points out that picture all the time.
Yeah, he knows Dumbledore, Father Zeta. But Father Zeta was really good at explaining everything afterward. We called this podcast series the Wellhouse Exorcism because there's a well in the basement that I didn't know about for a very long time. The ring was in my basement. But he did the research, and I think it's important then to discuss the research that he did, that he put together, because an exorcist cannot go in unless they know everything. And if you look it up, there's a very strict diet they have to follow. They have to go to confession sometimes. It's a very heartbreaking, but like God-fulfilling job to be an exorcist. Not many priests become them because it is just so heart-wrenching. Father Zeta tells stories about how he's seen people like literally climb up walls like Spider-Man. Like, you see crazy things. If you ever get bored, look him up on YouTube. Like, he has some really cool stories. Cool, but horrifying. Our house is boring compared to some things he's seen, right? But he said that, like, the house, and you're better at telling the story about the house where it sits, but I'm better at telling the child story. The reason that it attacked me initially, when it took my watch and it took my dress and everything, it saw me as a threat. And even the Ukrainian priest, I don't know his name, he said, I sense a lot of religion. I sense a lot of belief in God from you. Not that he isn't religious. My husband is very religious. He was an altar server. He believes in God. He knows all the big Catholic words that I do not know. But he said,
you're much more founded.
Yeah,
in it,
you have a deeper belief in God, and you have a safety net in God that he doesn't, like, you have that like deeper faith where it doesn't break. When someone loses a job and we don't have any money, I don't lose my faith. I'm never going to blame God for that. Like, God, why? That's never been me. I know that we're going through suffering. We're going to get through it. Ray and I've been through worse. Like, so I really have this like belief in God that can't be shaken yet.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. So
he said, recurring theme for this episode.
Yet. The power of yet. So he said, it saw you as a threat, so it's been attacking you because you're the threat to this house.
A mama bear always is.
Yeah, and he's like, a mom. Yeah. And actually, it was Father Zeta who said, a mom usually is because you want to protect that baby, or in the case of our house, babies.
It's just different. It's just a different
It's a different kind of relationship you have, because you grow it in your body. It's your spawn. Your parasite. I mean, your lovely children. But he said it moved on to Sophie when she was an infant because it was the weakest link. And then when Sophie could start talking, it found Eli. And Eli, it's still connected to, or was, because Eli can't talk. You now find the best weakest link because Eli is very religious. He wants to be a priest one day. He prides himself on his kindness. Like, he'll tell you, I love being kind. Like, that's you hate that he never stops talking, but you can't be mad because he's the sweetest thing in the whole freaking world.
Oh, he's so adorable.
Exactly. And somehow we made that. I don't know what happened. But like,
it's a gift from God.
Yes, he said like that it found its best weakness. It found the best host because it has a kid that's a child that is very credulous, but also can't tell you what's happening.
Well, and this ties back in many ways to what I think, going back to, I don't know if it was the first or the second episode, but like talking about PJ being a young boy, the youngest. That
was the second. Yeah, the first episode was all
right. That was all us. Yeah. So
it was a good episode.
Just talking about
I give it a 4.
Solid.
A 4 out of 10.
Solid. Yeah.
Some might argue the best one.
So, but I mean, just the argument that it's going for this weakest pray.
Yeah. And he, PJ's always been very religious, he was very proud to be, he went to Catholic school, so he was a really easy target, and he had health issues as a child,
And something else we
I didn't
learned,
know that, actually.
asthma, I had to also have like snack breaks every day and stuff like that because I was low
Like
on
blood sugar or something?
It was iron.
Oh!
He had a very severe deficiency.
I just know that you liked salt as a kid.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
know,
I
but-
like salt.
Oh my God, he would literally cover his
I wasn't
pizza in
gonna
salt,
say
so it
that
looked like
was like
the
a-
pizza had like
Yeah.
snow on it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
It was
I didn't
We won't
think
talk
that was
about
like
that.
Let's not talk about
that wasn't
Moving
exactly a
on.
malady in my
Cut
book,
that
so.
Toss in the trash
Yeah,
can.
now he just sounds, like a
Salty.
Normal
he's
human
gone
being.
batty. But we're just gonna
Now I'm
move on
just
from
addicted
that.
to hot sauce, which
Yeah.
also has a sodium problem, but
There's also vinegar. It's
it's a
fine.
tastier sodium problem.
And vinegar is good for you.
Crap. So
I
was a
interrupted,
conversation.
yes.
yes.
So he from episode 2 when we start talking about the history of the house and how the first priest who like really helped bless it said that he believed water was like a portal that let things in and out, and like was the reason for all this. And the exorcist said that's half true. Water is like a cleansing agent though, so it wouldn't let things in
It's
and out.
not a conduit.
Yeah, it's not a conduit, but it definitely is the reason why there are things happening here. Because when this property was just a well and not a building, it was likely the site of black magic. Because people need fresh water to do magic. And if anyone heard the Tales of the Smokehouse episode of Spooked, or a couple other things, like you hear it's a common theme.
We
You
should
need
get
water.
paid for our references to
Almost
other
like-
I
podcasts.
know, right? We're always plugging other podcasts.
We got you,
not-
peeps.
We love you
where
so
like you
much.
need fresh water for a lot of different magical things, and instead of hauling a bucket of water home and doing it at your house, people just do the rituals right here at the well.
Middle of the night when no one's there.
I mean, who would blame them?
Yeah.
So
It's
almost
a lot
like a
of- it's a lot
channel
of work.
then.
Yeah.
Clean your utensils afterward.
And so that's why the property was the thing that needed to be exorcised and not the people, is because the ground was tainted from everything.
He said underneath the basement concrete, there's probably, bones of, anything
Cat
you think
bones
of
and things like
from black magic. And so the well itself isn't so bad, it's the ground around it, but he blessed and he really oiled up the the slab down there. And he told us not to lift that if we can help it ever again. To leave the basement the way it is, leave that slab there. When I repainted that entire basement for our son Owen, I did not move that slab. I painted around it. It's painted shut. And I am never ever touching that slate. But I thought that was interesting, and it kind of gave us a lot of answers. So it's no one's fault, did we bring it from our house to our house? No, it's always been here. It's just the ground in which the house was built. And it's older than the house. So can I just do a side note about water? I actually have holy water in my classroom as a joke, because if you're a Catholic, holy water is like when you walk into a Catholic church, that's the swag you get. Like it's just you get a
Right.
rosary, you get holy water. Like take it home, guys. This is free. We have just pints and pints of holy water. It's like nothing biggie for us, It really isn't. But I had gotten a couple bottles as a joke a couple years ago because for some reason during the height of COVID, some kids said it'd be fun to draw Satanist symbols on the boys' bathroom stalls at my job. And so the joke became, we're going to summon a demon in the boys' bathroom. And I'm like, well, I got holy water for that. So whenever I pull out the holy water, because I have it as a prop for my stories now, the kids are like, is that actual holy water? I'm like, yeah. You want to touch it? It's just water. I don't understand. Would you like some? And
I didn't make my own by
it's funny because I'm it's just holy water. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's holy water. I'm like, oh right, this is in the Catholic area. Never mind.
There is something really,
it seems magical.
Yeah, really magical and
Right.
special.
And I'm
about
like,
it.
yeah, it's holy water. Do you want to drink it?
Well,
I don't know what. I'm just used to seeing it. I don't know.
But I grew up thinking, let's just say you have a teaspoon or a tablespoon of holy water, right? And then you pour a gallon of regular water onto it, then the whole thing is holy water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
It's so
That's
powerful.
like-
That's a
Right, right,
It's
right.
magical because of that. Yeah. So yeah, and I was using the story of when Father had tried blessing the front door to come in for one of our first blessings, and he's like, I had to hold out a little bit because I wasn't seeing the water droplets on the wall. So I like start squirting the bottle today at my classroom. Like, wow, that's a lot of water. I'm like, yeah, but imagine he's squirting that like at our door, and there's like no water showing up. You know?
It's not hitting the door.
I said, honestly, most priests should just get like a super soaker. I feel like Father Mowry and Father Don would have loved super soakers of holy water. Like to us, it's just part of our religion, but I guess to others, it's so like cool and it's a magical item.
It's
It's
a water
ironic
sport.
because it was like, I mean, it is the foundation of every Christian
It is,
religion.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's an
Well, even,
unpopular
like,
opinion,
you're
but
right.
it's
No,
actual.
I understand that. Even like the whole, concept of baptism, whether it's like the
Right.
sprinkling of,
Right.
on like an
I'm
infant
not
or
saying
like
any one
dunking on-
person,
Yeah.
any one religion has it right. I'm not saying that people have to do what's right for them, but Catholicism is the foundation for every single Christian
Well, and I think
religion
because
ever.
Catholicism
And
And Judaism
strongly-
is the foundation
Yeah.
for Catholicism.
and I think
so.
because Catholicism like strongly holds on to those traditions,
Tradition, ritual,
so everything
yeah.
feels ancient
Yes.
and has weight to it.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
it's like it is like picking up a magic relic because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how it's treated.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
Because we
That's
take
true.
it seriously.
yeah.
And if you look at exorcisms too, like something that Father has mentioned, you don't ever call like a Protestant preacher to do an exorcism. Like if something bad's
No.
happening, you call the Catholic Church and you call for a Catholic exorcist. You know, like
You go OG for
yeah,
this
you
one.
want to go OG.
Well, and literally, like literally.
Or
You're not going to go
OC?
for like the
I know you're not going to go for like another iteration
grade
of
B.
it.
Like, you don't
Yeah.
want grade B for this.
No,
Like,
no, you don't want the
for
watered
legit.
down version here. You want the
No,
I want the
funny
real
stuff.
holy water. I want the holy water.
Wow, now
And
everyone
water.
hates Laura. Oh.
It's okay.
I was popular until this moment.
It is sad that, like, in my head, I hear the Wicked song, Popular, and how, like, Kristen Chenoweth was singing. It's late right now, it's late. I also have, I went down to the river to pray. Song stuck in my head, because of baptism,
yeah.
so it's stuck in my head. I just like to sing during our podcast, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Well, next time we'll have to do, that's what it'll be.
I'll get swing low, sweet chariot.
She's
Me
bass.
on my bass?
I'm
Is
not
that
a
what's
bass.
happening right now?
I'm not a bass. We've learned something. But that is the story of the Wellhouse Exorcism.
And so nothing since then.
4 years.
Knock on wood.
4 years.
4 years sober.
Everybody knock. Everybody knock.
Cross yourselves. Get the
I
holy
know.
water.
Yeah,
Hold on.
seriously. Bless those fish in that aquarium.
Bless them all. As we sit underneath the crucifix that began the discussion on exorcisms, the St. Benedict crucifix.
Yeah, so we can
Mexican
keep
culture,
this
too.
going. It'll just
Mexican
be
culture's
about
insane.
other
Yes, it
things
is.
around the world, stuff like that. That was my thought.
I want this to be my podcast like niche area because we have the D&D thing, and I'm like, that's cool, but scary stuff.
Our website is gamesoverboard.com. You can email us at gamesoboard@gmail.com.
And listen for us doing our next board game.
Yeah, so listen
Game
for the Games
podcast.
Overboard podcast and
all
the
be
Danger
together.
and Dice podcast. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.